What's up, interlopers, and welcome back to another No Man's Sky mods showcase. We are officially at episode number 4, by the way, and I'm not gonna lie, there are a ton of amazing mods out there, but only a limited amount of time on my hands to show them all. Nonetheless, today I bring you 5 amazing mods that when put together, they will completely change the way your game looks, for the better of course, and without ruining the vanilla experience. So without wasting any more time, grab a drink, aim that like button, and let's get started. Now, I'm not perfectly certain how many of you guys like or dislike the backpacks our characters have, but I would assume that carrying hundreds of kilograms of rocks you happen to find on some random planet can't really be that healthy on those frail traveler backs. What if instead we had the option to take them off? Well, thanks to a mod called Travel Light, that is now entirely possible, and you can completely remove the backpack off of your own character model. This can be done with every single alien species you can pick inside the character customizer, and upon doing so you'll be able to free yourself from the burden of carrying a glorified school bag on your shoulders all the damn time. To be perfectly honest here, I was a bit skeptic at first because I feared it would cause issues with the rest of the suit model, but to my surprise it actually works pretty fine. The chest piece that is typically covered by the backpack itself is fully rendered even on the back side. The change is purely aesthetic though, for obvious reasons, and only the 3D model that appears on your character will be the one that disappears. You'll still be able to access your backpack normally through the in-game UI, and from my time playing with this mod I have not seen any adverse effects on my gameplay, and I am actually planning to keep it for a while because it makes my character so freaking different. Oh, and by the way, your jetpack thruster flames will still show when doing that. It's a little bit immersion breaking, but not really a big deal. Coming up at number 2, we have a mod that you probably already saw on this channel, and it goes by the name of Hover Dragonfly. What this does is simply make the unfinished Dragonfly exocraft that is currently hidden within the game files to become finally available to players as well. It comes with its very own geobay you can build upon installing this mod, and it can be placed alongside the other 4 already existing exocrafts. The 3D model itself seems to be finished, and there's even customization you can apply to it, and using the geobay you can pick the primary and the secondary body colors, place decals in various places, as well as changing the colors of the thrusters. The controls themselves, on the other hand, still need some work, and it definitely feels like they are unfinished. They also don't really fit the model itself. Like, I would expect it to be much slower, and because it floats so high up on the ground, you can also make it jump very high, especially if you do so from the slightest ramp. Installing mods and upgrades to it is also possible, and they are also fully animated and working, and since it's a hovercraft it can also float on water, which kind of brings me to the second point, by the way, and that is I was fully expecting for this to be a submarine vehicle that only works underwater. I mean, even from the looks themselves it clearly looks like a sub. It has a cabin in the front, 2 mechanical arms to tickle underwater creatures, and it just doesn't look like a dragonfly at all. As a matter of fact, it's the complete opposite. It's fat, it has short wings. Meanwhile, dragonflies are the exact opposite. They are slim, they are nimble with huge wings, and they are pretty fast, which is probably the only thing in common with this thing, and that is because the steering and the controls are not yet complete. Coming up at number 3, we have a mod that will make alien worlds in No Man's Sky truly feel alien. Of course, I'm talking about a mod called Constructs, which existed for a long time, even during Atlas Rises and before that, but it was also recently updated for Next. It features fully custom sci-fi structures and objects that fit perfectly with the visual aesthetic of No Man's Sky while still adding a feeling of mystery to the scenery. The models themselves look absolutely gorgeous, very high detailed, and they can vary in size to the point that some of them are downright massive. There are multiple variations and types of constructs that this mod introduces, from huge alien skyscrapers, towers, mechanical drills, rings, and even pyramids. The bonus is that all of these are procedurally generated, so it doesn't just fit the No Man's Sky visually, but conceptually as well. It gives you an immense feeling of satisfaction to walk down a jungle planet, for example, and find a massive pyramid or alien tower hidden between all of that vegetation. In fact, this is one of those features that should exist in the vanilla game without the need of any mods. The only problem that I was able to find with this this mod is that sometimes the collisions don't really fit the 3D model itself, meaning you can enter walls by mistake or hit invisible walls when the 3D model is actually placed further away, and for the most part this is understandable as the 3D models can get quite huge and it's hard to properly set up collisions for them as well. I will also add that the mod is still getting updated and this is a known bug that the mod author is said to be working upon. Have you ever felt that the color palettes, especially on lush planets, have been greatly diminished once the next update went live? It seems that nowadays lush planets only ever spawn in red, blue, green and sometimes yellow, but compared to how it was in Atlas Rises, that is nowhere near enough the color palette that existed back then. I mean, the variation back then was pretty huge. We had planets for almost every color out there during the previous update, but somehow they seem to have been lost in the transition to the newest update. Luckily enough, you'd be pleased to know that the game is actually still capable of spawning those types of colors, and we have just the mod to help us out with that. It's called Project Atlas Procedural Planetary Colors for Next, and just like what the name might imply, it adds procedurally generated color palettes to every planet in the galaxy, especially lush planets. This means that the range of colors can vary much more, and if you missed the old Atlas Rises aesthetics, which I know a lot of you did, this will be your best bet in getting as close to that as possible. So the mod itself affects trees, grass, terrain, rocks, and even the planetary rings. There's not just new colors being applied, but different shades to them as well as the already existing ones. So green planets can now be in more shades of green, not just the darker one. Pink and purple can also spawn, and there's pretty much every color combination you can think of. What I like the most is the fact that the mod author has brought different options for this mod depending on your preferences. You can pick between colors being assigned totally random or being procedural or a combination of that. The second option works much like how the game handles procedural generation, as in it picks colors depending on a predetermined component. So for example, on a green planet it would spawn more colors that would fit that theme, or on planets that feature sand will spawn desert specific colors and so on. The first option in the download menu is the one that I picked as I wanted to see the full capabilities of this mod, and it can definitely get very wild. I mean, I got a planet that literally burned my eyes and it's almost impossible to play on there because the grass itself is simply too vivid. I mean, it looks amazingly cool, but it just destroys my retina. The mod author on the other hand suggests the 25% RNG with the 500 color table as it brings in enough variety while keeping it pretty much vanilla, so that is what I will be suggesting you guys to do as well. The only downside to this mod that I was able to find is, as I've said, the grass becoming too vibrant, which pretty much will hurt your eyes, and yeah, that's pretty much it because otherwise it looks freaking awesome. Finally, we have a mod that I personally believe fits perfectly with the previous one, and that is called Chromatic Skies. In fact, just like with Project Atlas, Chromatic Skies also tries to bring in the old Atlas Rises era visuals back into the game, except that Chromatic Skies does it with the sky textures themselves and not with the ground and the vegetation. Currently, the full package of this mod only supports 5 color palettes, which in my opinion is plenty enough, and in fact it makes every time of day more unique to one another compared to the vanilla. But if you want to have more options instead, you can install the Chromatic Skies .fix and have only that one, and it will allow the game to use more than just the 5 color palettes. With the fix itself, the game uses all of the available 40 color palettes for the sky, as well as adding a lot more changes to the fog and fog opacity. There's also a module in there that controls dusk palette to make it much more colorful, and I believe this is my favorite feature so far because it definitely makes dusk feel amazing. So every time the sun would go down, it would look simply amazing. The compatibility with other similar mods that affect sky color and fog will be limited though, so you'll have to be careful which module you install because compatibility issues can arise. It's also advisable to completely delete your game's shader cache, as otherwise it would cause a lot of weird issues with the colors and everything. So yeah, pretty much do that before playing the game and after installing this mod. And yeah, the mod definitely is worth it and it fits perfectly with the previous one. This is why I said that today's list will completely change the way your game looks. I wanted to bring that old Atlas Rises aesthetic because in a sense I also kinda miss it. And this is today's list of No Man's Sky mods. Also, to all my No Man's Sky fans, tell me what other types of videos you'd like to see with this game on the channel. Post your comments down below, I will read everything, and in the meantime a like and a subscribe would be super appreciated. Also activate the notification button, and I'll see you guys in the next one. So peace out.